Services to ATM bank machines in Jamaica are being disrupted due to thieving. This is Undiluted News. Mikey Bones reporting. National Commercial Bank and JMMB Bank have informed their customers that the armed robbery in Portmore on Sunday has disrupted their automated banking machine services at several of their branches, and the disruption includes cash availability. Beryllium Limited is the service provider for both banks. Beryllium has stated that it was assessing its operation across the island in the aftermath of the attack on its crew and that there could be delays in the delivery of its services. 5 persons were wounded in the attack, 4 security guards and a licensed firearm holder. Their injuries are not considered life-threatening. The attackers reportedly stole $23.2 million. And it's reported that sometime after midday, members of the security team employed by Beryllium went to the Bank of Nova Scotia located at Brayton Parkway to service the ATMs. Shortly after they exited the security vehicle, they were attacked by men traveling in 2 vehicles, a Subaru and a Toyota Axio. The officers took cover and returned fire. 3 members of the security team were shot. A fourth security guard received injuries to both knees, hands, and back that were not consistent with gunshot wounds. A licensed firearm holder had challenged the gunman, and he also received a gunshot wound to his left buttocks. The robbers reportedly abandoned the 2 getaway vehicles believed to have been used in the attack. The vehicles were found in Lakes Bend in St. Catherine. Thief in Tonopah, Jamaica for real. This after news broke that someone broke into the Jamaica Defense Force camp in Monhegan, St. Ann overnight on Friday and stole more than $90,000 in cash. Reports are that the incident occurred sometime between 9:30 p.m. on Friday and 6:45 a.m. on Saturday. No one has been held in connection with that robbery, and indications are that the culprits entered the military compound and forced open the front door to the building, which they entered and stole $93,000 before leaving the premises through the entry point. Now, if thief can break into a soldier camp with men trained for war, that means the ordinary citizen does not stand any chance. The president of the Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprise Alliance, Donovan Wignall, has described the recent announced increase in the national minimum wage as an improvement, but he maintains that it has not yet met the requirements for a livable wage. Mr. Wignall said that given the current cost of living for the average minimum wage earner, the increase is a sign of progress, but it remains inadequate. Meanwhile, the president of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, O'Neill Grant, has disclosed that some government employees are yet to receive the increase in minimum wage, which took effect all the way from last year in 2022. So the minimum wage was increased last year, and up to now some people not start get it yet, and them have another one now, which is to begin next month. That means those people, even if they get one increase, they will still be left behind, and these are government workers. And yet these politicians are killing them teeth with people like them working on their behalf. St. Thomas police detained 5 people, including a woman, after seizing 2 firearms and 38 rounds of ammunition in 2 separate incidents over a 24-hour period. The first incident occurred about 6:30 a.m. on Friday, March 17, when a police team armed with a search warrant went to 2 locations. This led to the discovery of a firearm loaded with 14 9mm rounds. 2 people were arrested in connection with that seizure and will be questioned in the presence of their attorneys. And in the second incident, about 5 p.m., police armed with a search warrant went to a Hampstead district in Yallas to search the home of another suspect. Upon the arrival of the police team, a man pulled a firearm from his waistband and threw it inside a bedroom. Police reported they entered the premises and retrieved the weapon, which was loaded with a magazine containing 24 9mm rounds. 2 men and a woman were arrested during this second incident. And this next story is showing how harsh the British system treats anyone breaking their law who just remotely look or sound like a Jamaican. A British man convicted of murder is suing the Home Office after he was wrongly deported to Jamaica. Richard Wallace, whose parents came to Britain as part of the Windrush generation in the 1950s, was born in Paddington in London in 1969. In 1998, he was convicted of murdering a man working at a takeaway in South London. After serving his sentence, he was incorrectly classified as a Jamaican in what Wallace believed was a case of mistaken identity and deported to Jamaica in 2015. And it took him 3 years of fighting to prove he was not Jamaican, and finally he was returned to the UK on his British passport in 2018. But on his return to Britain, he was accused of using his own passport fraudulently and was jailed for 2 years. Wallace was released in October 2020 after DNA tests with other British members of his family proved him to be a match with them. He said that his treatment had left him completely broken and that he believed as a black man he was a victim of institutional racism. Wallace attorney Naga Kandia said he is launching legal action against the Home Office and other government bodies. A woman was shot and killed in Negril, Westmoreland on Sunday. She's 23-year-old Marisha Heath of Clarendon and of a Westmoreland address. And it's reported at about 5:50 p.m., Miss Heath and a man drove into their yard in Sheffield District. On exiting the vehicle, three men approached them from the rear of the house. One of the men called out to Miss Heath's companion, ordering him not to move, and then opened fire. And he was also said to be a scammer. Miss Heath and the man ran in separate directions. However, she was found with bullet wounds close to the entrance of the house. Her companion managed to escape and was not wounded. Miss Heath was pronounced dead at hospital. And that's how a lot of people get killed in Jamaica, by association. And as the murder continues, a St. Catherine man who police believe had fled his home in Garden Pen was tracked down by an unknown assailant and murdered in Bagwalk on Monday morning. The deceased has been identified as Ricardo Brady Edwards from Garden Pen in Spanish Town. He was shot dead by a gunman in an area known as Cashew Walk in West Prospect in Bagwalk. Police reports indicate that about 11 a.m., Edwards went to a corner shop in the community when he was pounced upon by a man who opened gunfire at him. Edwards, the police said, fled Garden Pen following a disagreement he had with men from that community. And the police believe his new location was later discovered and he was tracked there and killed. Police in St. James are now searching for a chopped victim who returned minutes later and shot his attacker to death. The tragic incident took place at Queens Drive in Montego Bay on Sunday. Police have identified the dead man as 45-year-old David Roy. Reports are that about 3:15 p.m., Roy and a man had a dispute which turned physical. Police said during the altercation, Roy used a machete to inflict a wound on the man. The man reportedly left and later returned with a gun which was used to shoot Roy multiple times. The suspect allegedly made good his escape in a waiting motor car. Police were alerted and Roy was transported to the Conroe Regional Hospital where he was pronounced dead on arrival. On to sports, we're going to start with cricket. Shai Hope made 128 not out in his first game as West Indies one-day captain to set up a 48-run win over South Africa on Saturday. South Africa's skipper Tembo Bavuma replied with a century of his own in the second one-day international at Buffalo Park, but his 144 from 118 balls wasn't enough as the other South African batters failed around him. Hope's century inspired the West Indies to 335 for 8. South Africa were all out for 287 in 41.4 overs despite Bavuma's best efforts. On to Premier League, Mobile United and Vere United played out a wet and a muddy 3-all draw. On Sunday, Harbourview Tivoli Gardens played to a 2-all draw. Humber Lions and Arnett Gardens drew 1-1. And with this draw, Arnett remained on top with 38 points. And in the final game, Portmore walloped Dunbeholm 3-1. Last night, Cavalier and Falkland played to a 2-2 draw, moving Cavalier into second on 37 points, just 1 point behind leader Arnett Gardens. While in the final game, Mullines United dubbed Chapelton 3-1. And if you ever missed the news on this radio station, please go to YouTube, type in Jamaican Undiluted News, listen, like, share, and subscribe to keep it going. That's going to be news and sports on your favorite radio. My name is Mikey Bones. I gone.